Hi, right, okay. Next I'm going to start coming to actually using Winols for business, if that makes sense. I mean, we've dealt with finding maps and tuning them, but we're all there to make money, really. And most people copy stuff, let's be honest. Oh, he's copied my map, he copied this. I mean, it's life, alright. These cars have been tried and tested for 20 years or more. And Winols has got many powerful features, and that's what I wanted to do really on this channel on YouTube, is show you how to, rather than showing you how to tune stuff, show you how to make Winols work for you. And there are so many different ways to do the things I'm going to show you, and other people will go, oh, I can do that better, I can do it like this, and there's automatic this and that. I'm just going to show you what I do. And we're using the EDC15 to begin with here because it's the simplest file, and we're trying to show Winols, so don't worry too much about what the file is, because the same rules that I'm going to start to show you here apply to all vehicles. And it's really difficult to put everything in order because I've got years in my brain here, absolute years ticking over, thinking, oh, I could show this, I could do that, and I'm trying to put it in order, and I'm sorry if it's a mess, but you can get hold of me via the links I'm sure I'll put in the descriptions or whatever, and we can go from there, and I'll try and help if I know the answer. Again, like I say, I'm not the best here, but hey, it's free. So I've got here the Toledo file that I used before with the Rage Stage 1 on it. I loaded in here an empty EDC15 150 file. It's one I go through when people are trying to learn from the beginning. So to try and save time, we're going to compare these two. Now what I do is I click View, Connect Windows. I'm going to compare both with original because these are different software. The numbers there and there are not the same. And if we imported it in Winols and said please accept the changes from the other one to this, it'll all go tits up because the software isn't correct. So we're going to do it manually. So I always compare the values with the original because our software is not the same, and you'll end up with confusing high and low values one against the other when they're not the same, and it'll just look a bloody mess. So have a look at what I've got here, because this is how I work with it, and I'm going to click OK. Alright, now whenever I move one, the other will move with it. Okay, I'm going to go straight to our map area. So even if I couldn't remember this shape here, I can see it's the same as this one. Let me change their values back to original by clicking that, just to make it a bit easier to see. So I know that that is the EGR because it looks the same. And if I scroll through, well look, there's my driver wish because it looks the same. Oh look, there's my start map because it looks the same. There's my torque limiter because it looks the same. There's my smoke map. There's our duration 10 by 10 there. And the next one there. See? One boost map. It's not on yet. There it is. I can see it looks the same. And 75 boost limiter looking the same. There's my SOI. It's not on the screen yet. There they are. So this is going to help us a lot. We've made one. We've saved it hopefully. So let's look at different ways of doing this. Well, there is, using this section in the middle, there's various ways of doing what I'm going to do, and as I said, I'll just start by showing you how I would do it. Now, are these lined up perfectly? Well, we could find out. So I can click that one which says copies the map from the upper to the lower project. Okay, so I could click that, and I'm not sure if we're lined up properly or not, so I'm not going to apply any changes. So let me talk you through what they mean. I can change the difference, so that is the difference between that value and the value I've changed it to. I can change it by percent, so whatever percent that's gone up or down by, it will change these values up or down by the same percent. And there's absolute, so whatever these values are, write them here. So if these have gone up by 1 or 2, with difference, these will go up by 1 or 2. If they've gone up by 1 or 2, which equates to X percent, and I click percent, it will change that by X percent. Or if I've indeed changed them by 20%, the percent will then change for them by 20%. Or absolute, so whatever the values absolutely are in there, it will write them there. In this case, I'm going to transfer nothing, because all I want to move is my map pack over. All I want to do today is make a map pack for this file using this file. So I'm going to transfer nothing, but I do want to transfer my map structure, and I'm going to click OK. Now, is it perfectly lined up? Well, let's take a look. Yes, it is, and that worked well, and I've just made that map, well, by showing you it's took time, but I could have made that map in an instant there. And you'll know if it's lined up or not, because when you try and move it, Winols will suggest that the axis is in the wrong area, if it's in the wrong area. So let's move on. Now, those are clearly not lined up. So this is what would happen if I tried to move just the map, we'll say. Transfer nothing. See, you can see it's off, but if I was off by just 1 or 2 bytes, I wouldn't necessarily see. But by Winols saying that the axes are in the wrong place, but it's found them in the right place, that also gives me a good clue that I'm not lined up properly. So I'm going to click cancel. Okay, so how do I line that up with that? Well, I can change the offset here like this until it looks about right by eye, and if I'm not sure, I can zoom in like this until I'm sure it's lined up like this. So you can do that. Okay, let's put it out again. You can search here. This will search for one with the same name. Okay, there is no name. This is driver wish, there is no name. You can click here and it will search for one that matches it automatically. And those are cursor position. So this one may work. Shall we see if it thinks it's okay or not? No, it's not going to work. Sometimes that'll work. It will see the values there and it will move it. What I like to do is this. I'm going to click this one and I'm going to Control C and to clipboard my name, copy it. Okay, now I'm going to double click this one and I'm going to call it Control V, exactly the same name. Obviously I could have typed it, but if I've got a space wrong or a capital letter wrong, it won't find it. So I've now done that, yeah? So now I can use this one, which says it will search the lower project for a map with the same name as the upper project. So I'm going to click it, and bang, it's moved it into line. Simply by copying and pasting the name of the map, I can then use this one and it will line it up. And now I could now transfer nothing, transfer my map structure, press OK, and there we are. It's done it perfectly. Anything I wrote or made in the top one is now in the bottom one. Okay, is our start map lined up? Let's try. Yeah, looks good to me. Now our torque limiter is not. So, like I said, you can move this method, there's a few other methods. But I'm going to use the same one. I'm going to Control C my name. I'm going to give this the same name. Control V. I'm going to move. By the way, if it won't move, press the delete key to get rid of highlights. And I'm going to move it with that, just like that. And then I'm going to use that one. Transfer nothing, transfer the map structure, and there it is. All made perfectly. Now, here we go. Our smoke limiter. They're not lined up. And remember, we had to search for this axis. So that's not going to help us. So how would I do this? Well, I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to line it up by eye, and it doesn't matter if I'm quite slightly off, right or wrong, and I'm going to copy it from there down like that. And unbelievably, I got it absolutely spot on first time. Now that's a pretty rare occurrence, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to make us a little bit out. Well, I think that's lined up, and it's not. So I'm now going to move it, okay? Now, Winols has suggested that it's found the map axis. So I'm going to click all yes in this case, and it actually has. It actually has found the axis correct. Which is very helpful. Now, we can see that we are not lined up properly. This smoke limiter map does not make sense. So I'm going to double click it here to bring up my properties box, and I'm going to change the start address of this map, okay, and I'm going to move it until I am happy with the numbers. Now I can see our maximums here, and I know that they need to be over here. So I am going to keep, you see this is moving as well, I'm going to keep moving it until those are gone, and I'm happy. And that looks perfect there, it's perfect there, those zeros have gone there. I'm going to click OK, I'm going to close it down, I'm going to reopen it, and now our colours will help point us in the right direction, and everything's dandy. So you can do them manually. You can name them if Winols automatically finds them. If it doesn't, like in the case of our smoke limiter, we can move it by eye manually. Now once it's lined up correctly, I could now click this one again to search the lower project for one that matches the upper project by name, and it will line us back up again. And now I can move on. And I'm going to do the same again here. I'm going to click Control C on the name. I'm going to click Control V there. Press delete to get rid of highlights. Line it up and transfer my map structure only. And I'm going to assume these are lined up. If Winols tells me differently about the axis, then I'll assume I'm wrong. But don't forget to check. If you're out by a bite or something, it'll make your tuning a nightmare. There we go. Moving on. Right, now I'm going to do the name thing again. Control C. Control V. Delete to get rid of my highlights, move it along. Transfer map structure, done. Boost limiter, I'm going to do the same again. Line it up with this one again, and transfer my map structure. And it's made it perfectly for me. And that has saved me a lot of time in making a map pack. Okay, our SOIs. Well, the best thing to do here is do it manually again. You can get it as close as you can by eye. More or less, doesn't matter. Move one down. Let's see if Winols finds our axis correct. And I'll click yes. Well, looks pretty good. So now what I'm going to do again is move it to where I think is the right place. Start address, go that way, go that way, and that looks pretty good to me. So now I'm going to line them up using that one, and now I can copy the lot. Just like that. And there we go. Apart from a couple of single value limits, it found the axis correctly, by the way, there for the SOI. So apart from a couple of single value limits, I've just made a map pack in what could have been a couple of minutes from another file, and this is where Winols database comes into its own. See, there's my map pack. Now if I click driver wish, I can now search the upper one for a map with the same name, which it's done and found it. Now I could decide, well, those values in that driver wish are perfect, that's exactly what I want to do, my map size is the same, so I'm now going to move it over absolute. I can do even unchanged, which isn't a good idea most of the time, and transfer it over, and now it's transferred my tune straight over, assuming these engines are the same, assuming it worked for one. It doesn't always work out like that, but it's a good base to start. So I could do that, couldn't I? I could come to my torque limiter, line them up with the name, line up the name one, line up the name from the upper to the lower and from the lower to the upper. And now I could say, okay, fine, I'm going to copy that absolute as well, thank you very much. And there we go, it's done that too. Now I could do that, line them up. And now my smoke limiter matches. And now I could go to exactly the same duration. Now it's going to find a few, and I can search because they've all got the same name. If I'd called them duration 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then obviously they'd all have different names. But because we've got more with the same name, the results are here, 1 out of 5. So I can say, no, it's not that one I want. It's that one. It's that one. It's that one. It's that one. Actually, it got it correct, I think. Yeah. So I could now do the same again. I could do absolute. So now it's made it exactly the same as that one. Or I could do this, and I could go down and I could go change it by the difference, please. So if it was 2 degree difference, but I want to keep the numbers in this file, so add 2 degrees to what these numbers are rather than an absolute value of what these numbers are, I could do that. And now it would have increased it by the same. Chances are it was the same anyway. So I could do all of this for my file. Blah blah blah. Boost exactly the same. Could change it by absolute, and then you can check if the absolute values were more or less the same. In this case, look, they are. Look. But it might be that I moved it by absolute, and now for some reason we've got 400 more boost in there, and you might think, oh crap, this turbo can't take that, so I'll move it by the difference or the percentage and test it and check it. And now all of a sudden I've done a stage 1 file. Well, obviously I haven't completed, but you could quite easily quickly complete that. And I've done a stage 1 file in 5 minutes flat. Is it any good for that engine? Well, this is copy and paste. This is what people talk about. You can make some serious mistakes if you don't line it up properly, if you don't check your numbers before you move data. So check and check again. There's 10 SOI maps, you see. So I use the result one here to line up with the right one. I can move it by absolute. Yeah, okay, go on then. And there we go, done. You could do all that, check it, drive it, see if it's any good. And now you've got a... I didn't complete, but you would, if you complete it, you could have a stage 1 base file there that you might be happy with, or it might need some work, or it's somewhere to go from, log it, check it, see what you're doing. But that's a start. There's plenty more things to show you, but I think this one's gone on long enough. And don't forget, all this applies to all ECUs. I'm just showing it on a 15 because the car and the ECU is irrelevant from what I'm kind of showing you from Winols. So I'm going to make more videos, shortcuts, tips, tricks for Winols, because I think, you know, that's important. I'll see you next time.